I always assumed the hardest thing about being a redhead was sunburn. Red hair, pale skin, just stay out of the sun. That was the whole story. But once I actually started digging into what's going on inside a redhead's body, everything changed. I didn't expect to find something this engineered, this dangerous, and this misunderstood. Because there is something inside their bodies that rewrites how their nervous system processes pain, that makes their own pigment attack them from the inside. And for 5,000 years, humans have been hunting them down and burning them alive for it. One gene is doing all of this, and nobody told you why. Red hair is not a hair color. It is a genetic mutation. Everyone has a gene called MC1R on chromosome 16. It tells your pigment cells what kind of melanin to make. When it works, you get eumelanin, dark, protective, the stuff in brown and black hair. When it's broken, your cells default to pheomelanin, a sulfur-based, chemically unstable red-yellow pigment. Black hair is about 70% eumelanin. A redhead's hair, 97% pheomelanin. That's a completely different chemical system running inside their skin. Only 1 to 2% of humans have this mutation, about 70 to 140 million people worldwide. But in Scotland, that number is 13%. Ireland, 10%. And up to 40% of Scots carry the gene silently without ever showing it. They're called invisible gingers. The gene is also ancient, about 80,000 years old. In 2007, scientists pulled DNA from 2 Neanderthal skeletons and found they also had a mutation that produced red hair. But it was a completely different mutation, one that doesn't exist in any living human. 2 different species, 2 different genetic paths, same result. Which made me wonder, if biology kept independently reinventing this trait, it isn't a mistake. It's doing something important. And what it's doing isn't just changing hair color. Because MC1R doesn't just make pigment, it rewires the nervous system. And what scientists have found over the last 20 years shouldn't even be possible. Imagine you're at the dentist. You get the numbing shot, you wait, and then the drill hits, and you feel everything. That's what redheads have been telling doctors for decades. And for decades, doctors didn't believe them. Then, in 2004, a researcher named Edwin Liam at the University of Louisville decided to test it. He took 20 women, 10 redheads, 10 with dark hair, put them under anesthesia, and measured exactly how much it took to knock them out. Redheads needed 19% more. It wasn't anxiety. It wasn't in their heads. The drug literally worked less on them. They're also more sensitive to cold. A redhead starts feeling cold as painful at 22 degrees Celsius. For a dark-haired person, that doesn't happen until 12 degrees. This would make you think redheads are just more sensitive to everything. You'd be wrong. In 2003, Jeffrey Mogul at McGill University gave 48 people a painkiller called pentazocine. The redheaded women didn't just respond a little better, they experienced 11 times more pain relief than everyone else. And it only works in women. A redheaded woman and a redheaded man can get the same drug and have completely different experiences. Most doctors have no idea why. But pain isn't the worst of it. Redheads can develop skin cancer without ever seeing sunlight. In 2012, a team at Harvard Medical School led by Devarati Mitra ran an experiment on mice. They took mice with the redhead gene and the most common melanoma mutation and raised them in complete darkness. No UV light, none. The red pigmented mice still developed cancer. Then they took genetically identical mice. Same cancer gene, same redhead mutation, but removed their ability to make pigment, made them albino. Those mice barely got cancer at all. It was the pigment, not the sunlight. Pheomelanin produces free radicals inside the cell, tiny chemical reactions that chew up your DNA from the inside, even in total darkness. Redheads are 1 to 2% of the population. They make up 16% of melanoma patients. One study estimated that carrying this gene is the equivalent of 21 extra years of sun damage already baked into your DNA. And the pigment doesn't stop at the skin. Deep in the brain, there's a small dark region called the substantia nigra. It makes dopamine, the chemical that controls movement. Those cells are also pigmented. And in 2017, a team at Harvard pooled data from 6 different studies covering over 13,000 Parkinson's cases. Redheads have a 68% higher risk of developing Parkinson's disease. The same pigment chemistry that's attacking their skin may be quietly doing the same thing inside their brain. This is the part that no one understood for 5,000 years. And what humans did instead is one of the strangest patterns in recorded history. They saw a person who looked different, who burned in the sun, who didn't go under when others did. And every civilization that encountered redheads reached for the same explanation. Something supernatural was wrong with them. In ancient Egypt, red-haired men were called Typhonians, named after Set, the god who murdered his brother Osiris, who then became the ruler of the underworld. According to the historian Plutarch, they were burned alive, their ashes scattered at the tomb of Osiris. This was a state ritual, ordered by kings. And yet, Ramses the Great, the most powerful pharaoh in Egyptian history, was a redhead. His mummy still shows it. The civilization that burned gingers was ruled by one. In Greece, Aristotle wrote that the reddish are of bad character. Greeks believed redheads became vampires after death. And yet Achilles, Helen of Troy, and Aphrodite were all described with red hair. The heroes of Greek myth were the people Greek society despised. In medieval Europe, artists painted Judas Iscariot as a redhead for 500 years. No Bible verse describes his hair color. In Michelangelo's painting of Adam and Eve, Eve is brunette before the fall. After it, she's a redhead. During the witch trials, between 40,000 and 60,000 people were executed across Europe. Red hair marked you. 5,000 years of persecution. All because of a gene. You'd think this ended when the witch trials did. That science replaced superstition. It didn't. In February 2012, Alex Kasuth Phillips was standing outside a pizza shop in Birmingham, celebrating his 23rd birthday. A group of strangers walked up, took one look at his hair, and broke his jaw in 2 places. He spent 3 months drinking through a straw with metal plates holding his face together. All because he was ginger. The attackers were never caught. That story isn't an outlier. A 2014 survey across 20 countries found 92% of red-haired men reported being bullied for their hair. For everyone else, 11%. The gene they're being punished for may have been the entire reason their ancestors survived. In 2020, Jaroslav Fleger at Charles University in Prague measured calcidiol levels, the vitamin D precursor your body makes from sunlight, in 203 people. Redheads had higher concentrations. Their skin converts UV into vitamin D more efficiently, and the intensity of their hair redness correlated directly with their vitamin D levels. In the cloudy north of Scotland and Ireland, that was the difference between life and death. More vitamin D meant stronger bones, better immune function, survival. And back then, nobody lived past 40. The cancer never had time to matter. The vitamin D did. What looks like a defect is actually a trade-off. More cancer risk for more vitamin D. More pain sensitivity for stronger painkiller response. More visible, more targeted, but biologically equipped for the exact conditions that would have killed everyone else. The trait we punish them for is the trait that kept their bloodline alive. I still have more questions about redheads. Why does their pain system work differently in women than in men? Why does the same gene that causes skin cancer also increase Parkinson's risk? 2 diseases that shouldn't have anything in common. And if this mutation has survived 80,000 years of ice ages, famines, and persecution, what does it do that we haven't figured out yet? Redheads aren't a hair color. They're a question we haven't finished answering. If this changed how you see redheads, subscribe. Every video on this channel takes something you thought you understood and shows you what's actually happening underneath. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.